everyone has some national holiday. Some are really fun. Some are just more about awareness.
Yeah, let's talk about today being World Diabetes Day. So our 9 Health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, is with us. So World Diabetes Day, and I think of it, this is really as a global disease or condition, and it seems like it's growing.
It is, and in 2006, they actually made this World Diabetes Day, and it's the same day as my niece's birthday, which is today. So she turns 2, so it's near and dear to my heart, but it's really about awareness. It's about raising awareness amongst people, because we know that, 1 out of 10 Americans have diabetes. 90% of them have what's called type 2 diabetes, meaning they're not born with it, but they sort of develop it during their life. And yet half of these people are walking around undiagnosed. And that means that 2 out of 3 of them will get diagnosed after they've already had organ damage.
And those are people who could manage diabetes, as opposed to those people with the genetic condition, right?
Not just manage, Tom, but prevent the complications. The problem with diabetes is not the disease itself, it's under treatment of the disease, because then that extra sugar is swimming around, goes and gets stuck in the walls of the arteries, causes heart disease, causes strokes, causes kidney damage, eye damage. On the other hand, you diagnose it with that blood test, catch it early, take the right medications, you could have a full life without any chronic problems.
So the blood test, it's just a generic blood test every time you see, or I don't know, yearly check with your doc and say, hey, give me a blood check?
It's important to look, and there's a few ways to diagnose it. So one is a random blood sugar. I find that less helpful because a random blood sugar could be high for a number of different reasons, and it's just a snapshot in time. So you have a candy bar, you go get your sugar checked, it's gonna be a little bit high. Sometimes a fasting blood sugar being high can be the first clue. So if you go to get your cholesterol done and the fasting is high, that could be a clue your body's not metabolizing sugar correctly. But that A1C, hemoglobin A1C, tells you your average blood sugar over the past 3 months. So it doesn't mean just that day. It means what has it been doing after you eat, when you exercise, when you sleep, when you wake up. That is the best way to diagnose. And if you're above 6.5% for that, that's a diagnosis of diabetes.
Should that be in everyone's standard health checkup annually? Is it?
100%, and no, it isn't always. And in fact, insurance also sometimes only allows you to check it once.
So you should ask for this.
You should ask for this, because the problem with diabetes, that what we talk about, those symptoms of diabetes, the thirst, the urination, the hunger, those don't happen in type 2 diabetics nearly as often, and they don't happen until the disease is very advanced.
So it's progressed.
So you could be walking around with elevated sugars and not know it.
So what do people ask for?
Hemoglobin A1C, or you can just say A1C.
I want the A1C test.
I want the A1C test.
And it's a blood test. It's a non-fasting blood test. You can add it on to any of your other tests, like your kidney, liver tests, or what have you. You can ask your gynecologist if you don't have a primary care doctor. But every single one of us should have our hemoglobin A1C checked at least once a year.
So quickly, progress is being made, though, for treatment. I mean, a lot of people have this.
It's incredible, Kim. In the last few years, we've had an explosion, and I do mean an explosion of medications that can not just treat diabetes and get the sugar down, but they can prevent you from ever ending up on dialysis. They can prevent you from having heart disease, stroke, living longer. So we talk about
From needing insulin?
From needing insulin. We talk about not just treating the sugar, which we've now got these treatments in, but treatments like Ozempic, treatments like Farxiga and Jardiance, which can now prevent the complications of the disease as well.
I think the last thing people think about when they hear Ozempic now is diabetes.
Yeah.
It has become so popular as far as a weight loss, and it's become a social conversation, but it is changing the way we treat diabetes.
It has revolutionized the way we treat diabetes. In fact, we've moved away from medicines like metformin, which we used to use for the longest time. And many people who get started on Ozempic and or Farxiga and Jardiance, or both together, may never get heart failure from diabetes, may never end up on dialysis, and really, really have long lives.
Well, it's World Diabetes Day, so think about it, and happy birthday to your niece. It's always good to see you, Dr. Payal Kohli.
Remember. All right, thank you.